Hi, everybody. My name is Joanne Miller. I'm with a Facebook page called History Hunters of Lee County. Dead Men Tell No Tales, so we do. What we do is we find stories associated with headstones. This is beautiful Noreen Bartleson. She died in 1955 at the hands of her husband. She was getting ready to leave her husband, Doug. He was a known mean bully around town. He was a police chief, game warden, state beverage inspector, and he was just a bully. Noreen had it with him. She was moving on in her life and left him. She went across the street to the Carter home, which was on Bell Street in Fort Myers, to stay for the time being, but apparently she didn't move far enough. Well, on September 24th, 1955, Doug brooded all week after Noreen left him and decided to go talk to her one more time. He made one final effort to persuade her to return to him. He wanted her to come back home. She didn't want to go. So he walked over to the Carter home. He and Noreen sat and talked. Doug on a couch in the sunroom, Noreen in the living room opposite him. Mrs. Carter was sitting on another couch in the living room beyond Noreen. Doug begged his wife to come home, but she refused. It was over for her. Doug stated, "This is it," and whipped out a .38 caliber service pistol and fired 2 shots at Noreen. The first bullet hit her at the bottom of her right eye. As she rose to fight with him, Doug fired the second shot, hitting her in the shoulder blade. Doug walked out, went back to his home across the street. Mrs. Carter rushed to help Noreen and called the police. Noreen later died at Lee Memorial Hospital from her injuries. She was only 41 years old. Doug called Snag Thompson, the sheriff, and told him, "I just shot my wife, and when you get here, I'll be dead too." Snag talked him out of killing himself and arrested him at his home. Mrs. Carter was the only witness, but she was in a near state of collapse over the shooting and could not be questioned. Doug pleaded guilty to avoid the electric chair. He received life imprisonment at hard labor for first-degree murder. His attorney said Noreen was unfaithful, and him as a husband distraught over reports of her extramarital affairs. The affairs and the men's name were brought up at the trial. Whether that was true or not, no one knows. He left Fort Myers in the Rayford wagon to go to prison. Doug died in 1972 at the age of 62 in North Carolina. The family grieved for decades. There was a son. It was just he supported his dad. Apparently, the father did well in prison. Doug, he did something about, he trained dogs or something. He shot his wife. He deserved to go to prison.